Yeah, no, we're totally knocking saucers. All night. Hey, witches, welcome. Happy Samhain. Good evening, everybody. We put on our, Halloween witch hats for a minute. We're definitely not going to wear them the whole time because our saucers are so big, we're knocking into each other. So that's not going to work. You have joined the week 8 of the Beginner Witch series. I'm Kat. This is Jamie. We are the new Witch Academy of Modern Magic. Welcome. We are starting on the magical properties of everyday items, part 2. That is what tonight is about. So we're going to talk things, physical items, except for air element, which is going to be a little bit different. But because last week we talked about the theory of stuff and why things have energetic properties, this is all due to vibrations. We're getting into now, how do we actually perceive them? These are things we can see and feel in our environment. And now we're going to assign magical properties to them according to other correspondences. This is probably the hard part of witchcraft that people really get stuck on because it can require memorization, or it requires you to work with it long enough to have like an association with it. We all know that a car drives, but do you know that ginger is for prosperity? So it's just like how much you've used it and how much, that's why you know something about it. That was a really broad example, but if you don't have an experience with it, don't feel bad for not memorizing it. One of the things that we're going to urge you to do is practice with the thing. If you want to learn about it, just practice with it. Taste it, put it in a spell, throw it in your yard, or wear it around your neck. I mean, smell it continuously for a week so that you know, like, this is what ginger or cinnamon or whatever smells like whatever you're trying to work with. Spend time with it to experience it. So as we go through these things, that's part of it, is knowing it or writing it down somewhere so that you can work with it later. Okay. The whole section of this, to go into your Book of Shadows or your grimoire, would be correspondences. When you buy books that have reference pages in it that are really just they're lists of things, that's what tonight's meeting really is. One of the books, of course, that we've recommended many, many times is the Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. Okay, this is one of the books that I go back to time and time and time again, because I am like all of you probably, and you are all like me. My memory does not serve me well when I need it to. It's like, what was that for? What do I do? No, I keep my book around for references. So if you do that, it's totally fine. I've been a witch 25 years and I'm still doing it. Did I skip ahead?
No.
Okay. The very first thing that we're going to talk about is colors. Well, actually, I guess I want to say that, like, here's the way that you can divide everything as far as correspondences. And let me know if you find something that doesn't match this, because in my years of doing stuff, here's the 2 ways that we split things up. You've got colors. So everything that we can perceive with our eyes fits into a color category. So that's color magic. And then everything that we can perceive with our eyes is also made from something. It's an element. So it can be elemental magic. So those 2 categories right there is, if you just understand the basic, like, 6 colors, and you don't need all the colors, like, I know black and white and gray are also, they can be on there. But if you just know the colors and the elements, everything that you encounter, you could have a conceived knowledge of what elemental or what magical property that might carry with it, like how to think of that thing. And I'm going to let Kat take it away now, because I feel like I've been talking and she's sitting quiet. So
no, it's fine.
Over to Kat.
So one of the things you can do is look around you and in the room that you're in, or the space that you live in, and what are the predominant colors that you see, and what are the colors that are missing. So we can use the colors of the chakra as kind of a guide. They go from red all the way up to purple, and I think there's 7 or 8.
Indigo, purple, indigo.
Yeah, and each one of them addresses a certain area of life. Like the red, the base cover, that's about safety and your basic needs. And then we move on up from there. We're not going to get into chakras right now because we're actually going to do
We're
a
going to do a
meeting.
course on that.
We're going to do a course on
lesson.
that.
Yeah.
But if you look at chakras and the correspondences of those colors, you can apply that in other areas of your life. So Jamie really dislikes red, and she won't have anything red in her house. So
Red's a tough color for me.
so, you know, and red is a color of, you know, red is related to fire. So is transformation. It's also related to security because it's our base chakra color. I used to do a lot of red. I used to love red. And then I moved to Florida and now I don't have much red at all in my house. Everything's like these really beautiful
it's
teal and blues and greens and yellows. Yeah. So it sort of changed, you know, when I came here, things changed for me. My life changed. And so consequently, all of the colors in my house and in my wardrobe changed. I started wearing colors I never wore before. So look at your life. What are you doing in your life as it relates to colors, and sort of like start taking that in and noticing what's around you, what's not around you in terms of colors.
I always do this when we're doing feng shui is I tell people to look in their closet and see what colors are missing. Because often that means that either they do not want to acknowledge what that color represents. So say you have no green in your wardrobe, you know, green is the heart chakra. So maybe love is really hard from you, feeling like you're loved and the world loves you back. So that can, if that's missing, it can be an interpretation of that. Or people who don't want to make time to learn how to grow plants or something. So plants with that green element, bring green into your space. You can always have fake plants. We're going to go over that later. You can do fake ones for bringing in that green if you haven't got the security to grow stuff or the light. Because sometimes it's not about whether or not you can grow it. It's about whether or not your house receives sunlight. But seeing those missing things within people's homes can also let you know where the deficiency is. So with colors, it's a wonderful, you would actually kind of consider this a divination tool if you want to. Because if you look around and see what colors you have versus what colors you don't, that could be that you're totally concerned with security and earthly things because you've got the red everywhere, or that you've never felt safe. And that's why red does not connect with you because it's something that you don't ever feel. So it's not a comfort color, which to bring in a really odd psychological study, if nobody has heard this before, that you can lift more weight when you're wearing red than you can when you're wearing blue, because red is the color of like passion and fire and strength, where blue is like that calming color, more about peace and serenity. This is a proven psychological study, just saying. So color magic has real roots in science as well. And I love that.
Okay, so we have the category of colors, which again, everything we see has a color association. And then we have the elements of earth, water, the actual elements. Earth, water, air, and fire.
Yeah.
So general earth magic, plants, stones, animal bones, herbs, moss, dirt, earth colors like browns and greens. In earth magic, we seek physical manifestations, money, property, people, animals. That's the kind of magic that we're doing when we're doing earth, or bringing in these elements into your life.
Say you have a lot of brown around your house. Like in Florida, we have these certain neighborhoods where they painted everything different shades of brown. And then inside the house, everything's like mutable browns. And a long time ago, brown was meant to recreate a homey feeling. Actually, libraries that are lined in all that wood paneling and heavy wood is because it's good for being there and staying there and feeling comforted. That's like, it's a home feeling, that brown color. For some people, maybe water signs, maybe air signs, brown is a shitty color. For me, I'm like, I don't like brown.
I don't care for
I don't
brown.
appreciate it that much. I like natural wood. That's also earth, but the brown as a color is not my vibe at all. So
my house was painted some terrible color of brown, and I was like, oh,
she did not like her house. When we first walked in here, she was like, this isn't it. We're like, this is it. Her realtor and I were like, this is it. This is the one. And she's like, I don't see it. Everything's like taupe and brown and tan and just no color. So once we've redone it, now it's her space. But
so general water magic. This is any water. These are the elements.
Any water from any source.
cups,
sink,
bowls,
wait. Any water. Go through waters.
go through water,
River, lake, pond,
Rain.
ocean, sea, rain. I love
Rain.
it. Faucets, hose, wells. I think I'm out. Ice, even ice, like anything in the form of all waters is part of the water element in whatever form. I mean, technically clouds. I didn't put clouds in air, and that can vary. If you think that clouds are part of the air element, totally fine. But for me, clouds are moisture in the atmosphere. And so clouds for me are water. So if you want to work with, clouds in some kind of way, that would be water magic.
So you don't just have to have water, you can have things that hold water,
Hold
like
water.
cups and bowls and chalices.
Chalices.
Chalices. Also things that come from the water, like seashells and ocean items, watercolors.
Pictures of water.
Pictures of water.
Yeah. Same thing with our
Um,
pictures of earthly surroundings.
In water magic, we seek healing and emotional help, dream work, psychic abilities, and divination.
So this is where you can look around and see, are you more attracted to the color blue than the color green and brown? You can start to understand where your interests lie just from seeing the colors that are around you. Or you can see where you can't grow because you're so surrounded by earth that your water element is not able to come through. So this is where that's the magical properties of your everyday items. If your house is a log cabin, even, I can't imagine. It might be very hard to do psychic work and dream work there because you're so rooted in earth that it doesn't allow your creative waters to flow.
Might have to get outside.
Go next to a river.
Okay, so general air magic, smoke, feathers, words, songs, breath, wind, storms, wands, communication tools,
Feel
air colors.
like she's going so fast.
Air colors, yellow and white. In air magic, we seek new thoughts, spiritual help, space cleansings, and sigils are also associated with.
And communication. Did I not put communication
We have
on there?
communication tools.
Oh.
Yeah, so speaking. then.
Speaking, this is all like anything that travels through air is what you can think about as air magic. This is sort of so wands, right? So we have actual magical wands. Some people relate the sword with air as well. This is an opinion thing. You guys do whatever feels right to you. Swords or wands can be air. It's whatever you really feel. Because when I first started learning tarot, I really felt like swords were an air sign because you slice them through the air, and sword and word were so close together. I'm like, it definitely feels like the same thing to me. But with wands, that was somebody else wrote that, oh, well, the wand would be more of an air element because of its waving through the air. For me, wands is fire because you create change with it. It's like something that's like bolt of lightning sort of stuff. So
Speaking of fire,
segue.
fire magic, candles, fires, any kind of fires,
Bonfires, fireplaces.
metal, fire colors like red and orange. In fire magic, we seek transformation, quick actions, protection, and banishing. So that was kind of a lot of information, but
Told you guys.
pretty much everything
on
fits into all of your correspondences, and we think all of your correspondences.
Yeah, I
can fit
want to be
into
challenged. If somebody can think of
elements
something.
and
Yeah.
colors is what
Yes.
you can pretty much find.
All correspondences.
Put everything.
Yeah. I mean, it just really hit me in the last week as I started putting this lesson together that all correspondences relate to a color or can relate to a color or relate to an element. And so if you learn those 6 and those 4, like that's 10 things rather than hundreds and hundreds of things, you already know part of the property of the thing because you're looking at it from a color standpoint or you're looking at it from an element standpoint. And so you at least have this idea of what it's good for.
So speaking of that, all of the things that you have, I'm going to give you, and you don't have to write this down because it'll be in the email or it'll be on our blog post too.
Yeah,
but I'm going to give you
a heavy list as
yeah.
well.
So this is going to be this is 10 workhorse crystals. So when you think about, I like crystals, which ones do I get? Here's 10 that are a good place to start. your collection if you're collecting crystals.
Yes. Well, and I love the way that Kat did this because she separated them sort of into two, right? As we're thinking about what magical workings we want to do,
So
amplifiers.
So amplifiers, so in your 10 workhorse crystals, your amplifiers
amplifying
are
crystals.
amethyst, citrine, clear quartz, rose quartz, and smoky quartz. And when we talk about amplifying, we are making it bigger.
You're taking whatever energy that you want to work with, or whatever energy you're trying to facilitate and grow, and you're putting this amplifier crystal next to it, and it's like a oh man, I worked in communications. It's called a holy crap. I love it when I forget my words.
She'll come back.
It's
to
a
me.
repeater. No, it's something within the internet line. I haven't been in that industry in so long, like 15 years. But basically, a signal is
A
only
booster.
it's a booster. It's a signal booster.
It's a
so
booster.
when you have a line of internet or telephone, every so many miles of cord or even feet of cord, you have to have an amplifier to push that signal on further. Quartz crystals that's one of the most common materials on our earth, and quartz is used in all kinds of telecommunications stuff and satellites and all kinds of stuff.
Watch
So
it.
everything. Quartz crystal is like everywhere. It's basically glass but made from the earth. And so because it's in everything, it's a natural amplifier. So anything that you put that around, if you've got other stones that are more specialized, like Weirmar is a really expensive stone because it comes from one tiny area in the world. And, it's like in the Caribbean, it's from the ocean floor, really small. But if you get Larimar and you just want more of that ocean sense, put a bunch of quartz crystals around it, and it's an amplifier for that Larimar. So that's part of how it takes an energy signal and then it boosts it. It makes it bigger.
Okay, so then there are the other 5 crystals for your 10 workhorse crystals. They absorb. So black tourmaline, carnelian, which is orange, I believe.
Yeah.
Fluorite, which is green, hematite, and turquoise. So those were 10 crystals that if you only ever own those crystals, you can pretty much do anything with them.
They have all the properties. Oh, so then there's a note. I put in a note here, you guys, because if anybody has ever looked at crystal descriptions, you'll notice that crystals can be used for 20 different things. And that's all very confusing because you're like, here is my quartz crystal. It does all of these jobs. I really wanted to, I'm going to show you really quick how to program a crystal into one thing. You don't need it to do 10 jobs. When you get a crystal and you want it to just do one thing, this is how you're going to program it. Okay. I have
one crystal can serve many purposes.
Yes.
Program your crystal to do just 1 or 2 things because it's taxing on our memories to remember 10 crystals and each having 10 properties.
Right.
So give your crystal a purpose.
Yes.
And intention.
All right. So this is an amethyst from Kat's house. It was sitting on one of her altars and I stole it because I gathered a bunch of stuff to show you guys today. But with this amethyst crystal, say I wanted to do the property of like healing or protection. I don't know, pick one. Now I can't.
So, well, let's do like healing because
healing.
Because amethyst amplifies. So
it's an amplifier.
So let's say you've got a sick husband or child or something, and you want to do a.
Don't tug at my heartstrings. I had to do a spell for my husband when he got COVID and got pneumonia, and it was awful.
And it was in the hospital.
It was really awful, yeah. So I had to do a spell for him on that. So sick husband, sure. All right, I have experience in this. All right. So what I would do is knowing that this amethyst has many properties, so its vibrational path is a natural amplifier, but then it also does about 10 other things that you can use it for, including like psychic abilities, dream work, protection, amplifier, whatever. So say I want to use it for healing. All I'm going to do is whatever way you want to cleanse it, you can cleanse it first if that's what you feel comfortable with. But you're going to basically hold it in your hand and then you're going to tell it like oh, thank you. I got to sit on your other
Hold
arm.
it in your hand.
Okay. I'm trying to make it visible.
Yeah. I'm watching so
This
you
is
guys can see.
serious. Okay.
Keep your hand up there.
As you hold it in your hand, you're in whatever way that you want to, you're going to tell it like, you are my crystal for
healing the pain of something or healing the ailment of something, and you're just going to send it the intention, and you're writing a program inside of the crystal that says, every time you look at this, wherever you put this, the crystal is now just working on that one thing. And that's all you have to do. You just have to put your intention into it by saying it, holding it, and being like, listen, this is what you're for. This is what you do now. And then you set it where it's the most appropriate for you. But that's programming a crystal. And you can do that with any of your crystals when you want to give them one direct path to work on. And the reason that it helps us is because we know that it can do 10 jobs, but we've designed it now, we've programmed it to do just one job. And that's all we're asking it to do. So every time you look at it and you feed it that energy of like, that's my healing crystal, that's what you can say. And in 3 months, when you're totally fine, or your husband recovers and is out of the hospital and doing well, yay, you can tell it to be something else. Then you cleanse the crystal, you know, whether you want to do sunlight, moonlight, water, smoke, whatever you want to do. And then you can program it to do something else for you. And it can be at one of those 10 jobs, but that's how it can change from being a healing crystal to a psychic crystal to a dream crystal. You don't have to get one for each thing, but that's how you program a crystal. That's part of the magical properties of it.
So this is a little piece of black tourmaline. Is that how you say that?
Tourmaline?
Yeah, tourmaline.
Yeah.
So I used to carry this in my pocket with me every time I went out for just general protection. And when I would be walking around somewhere, like if it was, or whatever, traffic was bad, or there was a lot of, I'm very affected by whatever is going on in my environment. Like
She reads too much energy.
Like if I go into a store and there's a lot of, I can feel the energy in it, and there's a lot going on and a lot of people, like you can feel when people are in a mood, right? So,
Yeah.
so what I would do is I would put my hand, you know, this would be in my pocket, and I would put my hand in my pocket and I would touch it. It was comforting to have it because I felt like it was protective. I made it protective. That's what this.
That's
this
what the programming is.
This also absorbs negative energy. So, you know, when I'm out there in that crazy, like Walmart, when everybody's Christmas shopping and tearing through stuff and, you know, fighting over the Cabbage Patch doll or whatever the newest, greatest thing is.
You're taking it way back.
Been a while since I had a Christmas shop, but so it's things like that. Other things, something else, you know, when you're wearing, I got mine out of my purse. When you're wearing crystals like this is a rose quartz. When, you know, when I'm going to go out like to the bar drinking and I'm hoping that I might meet somebody, guess what? I'm wearing rose quartz because I want to draw that to me. Yeah. So it's things like that. And if you didn't have quartz, the same thing can be said for wear pink, you know, to draw.
That's then the color magic.
Yes, yeah, the color comes into it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So now it's time for an exercise for you. So take an inventory of any crystals that you own, write down their uses and properties in your book of shadows. If you can, print a color picture from the internet and add to the page to help you identify, help you in identification, and journal about your plan to grow your crystal collection based on your needs for the coming year. Guess what today is, you guys?
Which is New Year's.
Which is New Year's. It's a perfect time to take inventory and take stock and think about
planning for the next year ahead. That's the time.
Cindy, we're going to take questions at the end. If you could hold your question, hon.
Oh, we forgot to mention that.
Yeah, we'll take questions at the end. If you could hold on, we're going to be happy to talk to you. So, okay, let's see. Was this from the first one? I think all this is from the first one. Right?
Yes.
So I do have I think we're going to do a crystal one, but this is a really good book yeah, see the light. So this is a good book
Crystals for beginners.
This is a good book for beginners.
I've been doing this a long time, and one of my go-to books is the Crystal Bible, but it doesn't give you information on using them. It just gives you like the crystals and descriptions and where they come from, which I really like, but there's lots of different ways to read into crystals, and there's so much free stuff on the internet. You guys don't feel like you have to buy a book, but sometimes it's really nice to go to a book to reference stuff rather than getting out the phone or getting on the internet or whatever. Just an idea.
Okay, so I think we told you when we started that we went around my house just picking up things.
We're gonna pick up
So we're
stuff.
gonna like show some things that are just around our house. So you
Yeah.
can think about your own house like this, like what is around you and what is the
Magical properties.
what
of
is the
it.
magical property and how
What
could
can you
use
assign it to?
or what
Yeah.
how can you use it in a spell
Okay. Well,
or on an altar or whatever.
just with intention. So when we talk about all of these things, there are normal people out there. I love that. Normal people, people who don't acknowledge energy within things, and they use them without the intention of it, without saying like, I'm using this too. I'm putting energy into this thing, whether it's the action of doing it, whether you picked it for that purpose. The difference between them and us, which I don't like to separate people because we can all be the same. It's just experience and knowledge. But the difference is that when we go to do something, when a witch goes to do something, she's calling in an energy. She's acknowledging the things, where they come from and what they're part of, and putting it into a system. And that's why magic works for us in that way, because we're calling it to ourselves, calling it from within ourselves, whatever that is. So the very first, I'm just going to go through all the stuff. I have so much stuff, you guys, right here to the side of me.
We won't spend too much time.
Quickly.
But
Okay.
as we do this, look around your own space.
Or just think
What-
about, yeah.
Yeah,
it's-
what do you see? Maybe something you have a question about, like, how do I use this? I have this, whatever. How
I
can
have
use
this,
it?
whatever.
Whatever it
I
is.
use the whatever. I love that. Okay. In no great order. First, I have makeup. All right. This is actually my eyeshadow, and the colors within it are like browns and golds and stuff. All right. So one way to use this could be called glamour magic. This can be color magic for bringing in earth elements because of the color pattern. You can write a sigil on your makeup areas, your palettes, your whatever, your desk, your brushes, whatever you use, to add in whatever that magic is that you want, right? So it's always about intention and what you're asking for. Next, from Kat's, one of her altars, we have this lovely mirror. Look, you guys can see yourselves all the time, and our lights. All right, I hope that didn't blind anybody. But mirrors are actually a water element. So when you have mirrors in your home, this represents water. So they're reflecting something back to you. It's the deep emotional part.
And they amplify as well.
It can be an amplifier. It can be a redirector even. In feng shui, when you have hard corners, you can put a little tiny mirror there to keep the energy moving, like a water would, like a river would, to keep flowing through the space. It's to keep energy moving. All right, next up is one of Kat's small little dishes. So we've got a couple of things. It's black, so we can use the color of black for protection, and whatever we put in it, that could be spell stuff. Because it is a container, this could also be something for water or the emotions, the element of holding something, looking deep into something. So there's that item. I love this because this is contradictory. It's a contradiction there. I can't say the other word. It's a turtle, which it looks like a sea turtle, because I know a tortoise from a turtle, you guys, and this has turtle, like ocean sea turtle legs, not tortoise legs, but it's brown like the earth. So this could represent water or the earth element because of its color. And this is it's a damn salt shaker. I love it. Oh, my mom has a sea turtle salt shaker. I love it. All right, is this from my yard or yours?
Mine.
Okay, so this is monarch wings, because we plant milkweed and stuff. So as the butterflies sometimes come to our yard and die, because they have a very short life cycle, only 3 months, we will collect wings of animals. This is the air element. So if you find wings of like dragonflies, or if you find a honeybee or wasp or anything that's passed on, and you want to collect the wings to use as an air element within spells or on an altar, this is one way to do that.
Well, something I love is little jars that hold stuff, because you're going to see a lot of my little jars that
All
hold
the
stuff.
jars.
So if you're
Well, what
new
else
to
are you
this,
supposed to do?
if you're new to this, saving like small jars like this when you buy stuff. I forget what was in there. Olives.
Olives.
Blue cheese stuffed olives were in here. And what's in here
Love
now
that.
is bark from 100+ year old tree.
Oh, is this the tree from down the
That's
lot?
the tree from down
Yeah,
there.
down the way, from
Yeah.
Hurricane Ian.
And so that's bark, which I'm saving for a spell.
So that would
in a
be
jar.
the earth element. This is something that grows from the earth. So the tree would be earth element. She also has old roses.
Rose petals,
Is
dried
it just rose petals?
Yeah.
I think there's a whole rose in there.
Is it?
I think it's whole roses
Oh.
that are dry. Totally fine.
Buy
Either way.
yourself some flowers and dry the roses.
Yeah.
They're
Let
good to have
them dry.
around.
So one of them is pink, so we could use the element of love, self-love, passion, whatever. And then the other dried roses are just part of that love element, going into, like I said, spells, set it somewhere to bring in the energy of that thing. It's
Give me
definitely earth
the
element.
salt.
Oh, okay.
So with my salt, what I did with the salt that I have in this little jar is I actually charged it on a full moon. So this
Full
is,
moon charged salt.
I,
All right,
I
what does it
actually
go
think this is I think this is
Oh, it's
blue
the
moon.
blue moon.
I
from
charged
last
this
year.
on the blue moon. It was a Halloween blue moon.
Last year.
And a salt is an element of earth.
It is. It's cleansing and absorbing. You'll find a lot of references to salt that you set it in corners, you put it on windowsills, you know, whatever you do with it, but it absorbs energy, negative energy specifically. And then it's also a cleanser. So quick little nerdy tip on salt. When we first started mining salt around the world, because there's only like 12 salt mines in the entire world, you guys, several in the US, but people would die from exposure to salt because it would dehydrate them. They didn't understand that salt actually sucked out all of our liquids. When you were in an area that had so much salt, it was just drawing the moisture out of things. So humans only lasted about 3 months working in salt mines. So a long time ago, which I don't remember this saying, in America, we used to say off to the salt mines was like a thing to say, like back to our mundane work.
Back to the grind.
Back to the grind of everyday work. And that was because Russian prisoners, it was known that in Russia, they sent all their prisoners to work in salt mines and they only lasted about 3 months in there. Weird, strange knowledge from me. That's what you can get, okay? All right, on to the kitchen stuff, you guys. When we look at our kitchen cabinets, this is where you'll really find the Llewellyn's herbs thing really powerful for you when you see what's in your spice cabinet. Pepper flakes, anything that's pepper or hot is going to be a quickening agent. So think about what pepper makes you do, right? It's like, it adds like energy of fire. So that's going to be transformational and it's going to speed stuff up. So Kat had this big thing of crushed red pepper, and that's what it could be used for within spells, an everyday item. And then I know I mentioned at the very beginning of the meeting, but ginger is just one of my favorite herbs because nobody really acknowledges it. It's under the ground. You don't really
She's
see
like
it
flopping
whole.
it all
Oh,
around.
sorry.
So ginger, the spice.
Ginger, the spice, ground, you can have it whole, but ginger is actually prosperity. That is wealth. Like ginger used to be harvested and then sent to only the richest people in the world. So ginger represents wealth and doing well in your life. It's also a health herb now that we know that it helps so many things within our system. Cinnamon with mom's hair on it. Kat's pulling her. Did you boil this? How did it get in there?
Where did you get that? From my closet cupboard?
I don't know.
I think you brought it with you.
It's a whole ass
I
blonde
think-
hair. That's not mine.
I think it was in her
Just-
purse. She just drug it over here with her tea. So teas are another thing.
All right,
Cinnamon sticks fans the hair because that's gross.
Listen, that's an earth element too. Hair. People use hair and spells.
Oh my God, I know. Somebody just talked about that recently. The
Really?
hair in one of our groups.
I
Or
don't
one of the
remember
groups.
that.
They were
Hair.
talking about hair magic. I was like, I've never heard of that.
That's part of earth magic. So anything to do with like physical stuff that we grow is earth magic, if you're wondering. But cinnamon is another element of this has got protection, health stuff for like heart, your blood pressure, and then also for prosperity. So
It's
cinnamon
also
stick,
love, libido, protection, blessings, happiness, health, money, fertility, and luck.
see
so
how it can
that's-
get so confusing, you guys. See that? You're supposed to remember all 10 things for this one cinnamon stick. Just find what you want it for and then just use it for that. So I don't remember 10 things that each thing can do. I'm like, I associate cinnamon with one thing and ginger with another thing, and then, you know, cumin with another thing, and
Yeah.
celery seeds with another thing. So just do it in that way because you have enough seasonings to choose from, or you could get all the way through everything that you want. All right, here's a funny one. You guys are, they're not ready for this. Everybody ready for this? Banana.
Well, I'm wondering what's with the
Alright.
banana and the nuts. I want because she got nuts from the cupboard too, and I'm like,
She already knows what I'm gonna say. We're gonna talk about fertility. We're gonna talk about things related with sex. We got the banana. No joke. Okay.
So we're talking about phallic shapes.
Don't,
then.
yeah, I'm not gonna let you touch it because I know you're gonna do something that is gonna be uncomfortable. The banana is you're not allowed to touch
Pickles.
pickles. Listen,
Ooh, cucumbers.
phallic. Oh Lord, we'll do a meetup over just fertility maybe. But bananas and then any trees also. So here as you get closer to the equator, more trees create nuts closer to the equator. It's a weird phenomenon. Nobody can really say. There's also way more poisonous plants the closer you get to the equator rather than when you head north, everything's edible. Just a weird thing with like the earth. But any kind of nuts that you have as well are part of prosperity and fertility. So that's what you have with nuts and bananas, which feels super funny. All right, Mom, you can talk about your moon water.
Okay, so this is just a little jar. So I'm always going to Goodwill's looking for stuff. So I found this little vessel here that I put water in and then charged it under the moon. So I keep it on my altar for representation of the water elements.
So two things, glass and mirrors are water elements. The water is a water element, obviously. And then anything that can hold liquid is also part of the water element. So she's got a whole quad trifecta.
Yeah, so I am a water element. I'm a Scorpio, so
She's a
I'm
water
water, so I'm
element.
totally drawn to everything water.
So I could use you in a spell as my water element. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe.
All right, one of the last things, you guys, okay, because it's 7:42. Here is a adorable little red dish that container that my mom has.
Be careful.
I know. It's got a little gold heart on it. It's just red as all get out.
And well, I've used this in my prosperity gua. It actually had spells in it where I was asked for money. So I was
Oh,
feeding
that
it.
was the feeding
this.
money
There's
spell.
still money in there. But yeah, but I got what I asked for. So
Perfect.
$300 to pay for something, and I can't remember now. It's
And
been
you
like a
got
year
500,
ago.
Yeah.
And then I got $500.
So with the red element, so think about that. She's asking for something to secure her basic needs. This was to pay a bill or like an expense that was coming up. This
Yeah.
is basic needs.
I was
and
expecting
safety.
a tax bill.
So she used the red thing and put money in it, which is the earth element. Money in general, like our bills, the coins, everything metal can be the earth element if you like our coins because it's money and physical and buy stuff. But that is the plethora of stuff we collected from around the house to kind of show you that, oh wait, the last thing is a fake plant. Okay. So I know a lot of witches, when they talk to me, they're like, I can't grow plants. I have a black thumb, which this one, she was a black thumber in the beginning too. And I've helped her be able to
Now
grow
I have
stuff.
so many plants.
Yeah. And so she's good at it because it just takes time and it takes a little bit of knowledge. Like we're not
It takes patience
innately
and trying.
great at growing plants. I don't think anybody is, but to satisfy your earth color or the green for the heart chakra, bringing in a fake plant, there's nothing wrong with that. Just so you guys know, the green helps you feel good about your space. If you have a space that you absolutely do not like, add a bunch of fake plants to it. And I'm telling you, it'll just feel better because it connects with your heart chakra. And so you'll start to like the space more. I mean, unless you have tons and tons of trash in it, I'm thinking that probably won't change it, but it could balance it. So if there's something that you really like, a space you can't work with, you can't add a bunch of stuff to the walls, or you can't change the color of things, add fake plants to increase the likability of it because it does speak to that heart chakra. And that concludes our crazy night of correspondences because that's
So
kind of
that
what it
was
is.
a lot of information.
A lot of
you know.
information.
Start small, maybe start with colors, just look at the colors because that would be really easy.
Colors are easy.
And it would be very easy to find what those colors mean.
Yes.
Especially if you relate that, if you look at just the chakras and see what each one of the chakra colors
Yeah.
means, you can find them. So colors is a really good place to start. When you think about
Elementals is
your,
also great.
yeah, I think
I mean,
elementals
elements are
too.
great too.
Yeah.
Those are two wonderful places to start to understand like the magical properties of elements that you already have in your life. And you know that crystal stones, right, are not that different from regular stones that you have out in your
Oh,
yard. The
yeah.
actual dirt, the sand, the
So
everything. Oh, shells. My mom
I
has a
found this little shell, actually somebody found it for me, but it's a little shell that's got a K on it. And I was like,
cats.
oh my gosh. So I keep that, that's special to me because the universe took the time to stamp my initial on there. That's really a big deal.
Thank you for joining us for week 8 of Magical Properties of Everyday Items, part 2.